This mysterious bouncing on the front of your kart is destroying your momentum and it's losing you lots of lap time. This is a phenomena called wonging, and it happens because your kart is too stiff and you've got too much rear grip. But wait, because you can get rid of wonging. You need to try and be as smooth as possible and try to set up your corners with less reliance on front grip. Either prepare for a late apex or use neutral steer to induce a micro slide. Become the master of racecraft by using this overtaking technique. A dive bomb or a slipstream might get the job done, but both lack the technique and flair of the switchback. Switchbacks are one of the most satisfying moves to pull off, especially when your opponents are defending. To do this, start by forcing your opponent to get out of position or defend for a corner. Then, sacrifice your corner entry by taking a wider entry or braking slightly earlier. Aim for a late apex to power out of the corner, and when your opponent drifts away from the apex, dive up the inside to claim track position. But timing is critical, so carefully time your momentum so that you don't do this. One of the biggest mistakes I see beginners make is countering understeer. Understeer is when the front tires lose grip and slide, and when this happens, most beginners keep turning the wheel to try and get the car to turn more, but this just makes the problem 10 times worse. If you keep turning the wheel, the tires will take much longer to regain grip, and when they do, you can get big tank slappers like this. So be gentle and don't keep turning the wheel when you encounter understeer. You don't want to end up like this person, but go-karting can be very overwhelming, especially if it's your first time with lots of crazy people around you. If you get swamped by faster drivers, the most important thing you need to do is hold your line. If you're moving in predictable ways, other drivers can plan overtakes safely. But if you're crossing the racing line and making last-second turns, then crashes are much more likely to happen. So drive predictably. My off-road go-kart has these studded tires, which are way too grippy. Here's how to change the tire for this very unconventional rim. This thing's called a split hub, because the rim splits into two pieces. It does split into two pieces, right? So as it turns out, the manufacturer thought it would be a fantastic idea to weld the two halves together. So we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. Here I'm just cleaning any dust off the bead so that it adheres properly and holds air.
Nice.
All done and ready to drive.
Nice.
Threshold braking is the fastest way to slow down a rental kart, and if you don't threshold brake, you're probably a slow driver. Here's why. The braking threshold is the braking pressure required to lock up the wheels. When you're rental karting, it's important to preserve momentum, and threshold braking lets you do this. Press the brakes just hard enough to reach the threshold of lockup, and once you start feeling the rear of the kart lock up and start to rotate, immediately get off the brakes and back onto the throttle to power out with slip angle. By using the micro lockup, you induce rotation and carry more momentum. Learn how to maximize your speed on changing track surfaces in the next 20 seconds. Some surfaces are far more grippy than others, so the first thing you need to do is identify the changes in surface and what has grip. This shiny patch has much less grip than the rest of the concrete surface. It's also mid-corner, which means having grip in this section is critical to prepare your entry for the hairpin ahead. To maximize your speed, plan ahead by taking a late apex from the previous corner, exiting towards mid-track before you turn into the slick section. Now, when you enter the slick track, your steering can be almost straight, making the lap of grip irrelevant and making you faster. Momentum is the key to success in go-karts, so being smooth is critical if you want to dominate the racetrack. This entire track is completely flat out, which means the only difference in lap time comes from how well you conserve momentum. The more you turn, the slower you'll be, so try to turn as little as you can with a relaxed grip like me, so that you're not fighting the kart. Any inefficiency will cause your lap time to plummet. Don't make the same catastrophic mistake I did go-karting. Here's how. When you're racing, your vision is critical because it determines your exit speed, your entry speed, and your momentum.
But how is racing vision different to normal vision? Good vision in racing means you're looking way further ahead than you would normally. Always to the next apex, and as soon as you turn in, looking to the corner exit. This corner sequence is a tight right-left chicane after a fast straight, and momentum is key. Here my vision is too short, only focusing on the first apex. Then I don't have any time to process information for the next corner. I react and completely misjudge the apex of the next corner, and the rest is history. Make sure you fix your vision when you're racing so that you have more time to process the information from your eyes and can maximize every section of the corner.
Slip angle is a complicated technique in go-karts which is critical for allowing you to maintain momentum through the corner. Here's how. Slip angle is the difference between the direction your wheels are pointing and the direction your kart is traveling. And this video shows Carlos Sainz abusing slip angle to turn whilst barely steering at all. To use slip angle, start by initiating a little slide with a sharp steering input to induce rotation in the kart. Then, immediately apply the throttle to maintain the angle of slip and carry your momentum. But don't overcook slip angle. If you have to countersteer much more than 15 degrees, you're using too much and you'll lose momentum.